Hi guys, it's Amy with aim.to.plan, and in this series of videos, what I'll be doing is walking you through the getting things done methodology, which includes 5 components: capturing your thoughts, clarifying the tasks that you have to do, organizing your tasks, reflecting on the things that you need to do, and engaging with your tasks. Those 5 tasks are the heart and soul of the getting things done method, and I'll be walking you through this series of how I personally implement getting things done in my Happy Planner. So if you're interested in seeing how I do that, stay tuned. In this video, what we're going to be doing is actually going through the process of capturing stuff. Now, if you haven't reviewed my previous video, I discussed in the last video, the first of this series, how to create an inbox in your Happy Planner. And in this video, what I'm going to be doing is basically walking you through the process of capturing the things that will go into your inbox. Basically, once I make these notes, it will go into that inbox in order to be sorted later. Now, at this stage, capturing stage 1, step 1 of the getting things done method, all you're going to be doing is just writing it down. You don't need to organize it. You don't need to figure out where it goes. You just need to write it down. And what's the purpose of that? Really, the reason why you want to capture it is so that way it's off your mind and it's not something that you have to constantly try to remember or keep in your brain. And that way you can free your mind to be more creative and to be relaxed when you need to take a break and when you need to be on vacation mentally. You can do that with the assurance that you have written down the things that you need to write down and that you can refer to it at a later point. So capturing is very important, and as the first step, I think it's ultimately the step that gets getting things done to work for you, because you'll be able to reference your written notes at any point that you need to. So, what we're going to be doing today is actually one part of the capturing method, and it's really talking. I'll be talking today about the internal things that are on your mind, the things that are in your brain, in your mind, that you need to put somewhere safe. And so I've got here my scratch pad. But basically, these notes will, once I write them, go into my inbox to be clarified in step 2, which will be a later video. Right now, I'm just going to be writing it down. And what we're going to do is actually an activity together where I'm going to read through the list of what David Allen calls triggers. Now, these triggers are things that can probably jog your memory and trigger certain tasks or activities, or what he calls incompletes or open loops. Those things that you haven't really finished yet and you need to do at some point. And so we're going to be reading through this list together, and I'll be writing with you. If at any time you feel like you need to just take a pause, and because you have a lot of tasks in this one area, please feel free to do that. Just take a break, hit pause on this video, write down as much as you need, and we'll just keep going. For me, what I'm going to be doing is actually using one sheet per thought. And so as I write, I'll just write one thought on here and then move to the next. You might feel like that might be too many papers, like you might have way too many papers at the end of it. So you can choose to write all of your ideas all at one time and just kind of switch to the next page as you need to. So it's totally up to you. And what we're doing in this video is clearing out your mind. The next video is actually going through and clearing out all the external inboxes that you have. So all your emails and texts and all these different areas where you might have incomplete or open loops, right? And so again, today, clearing out your mind, all these things that you're holding in your head that can just go out on a sheet of paper, okay? And so again, the list that I'm reading through is a list that was developed in part by David Allen, and I'll be rephrasing some of it just to keep it a little bit simpler. And again, I encourage you to hit pause if you need to take a little bit more time in one particular area. Okay, so let's read through some of the triggers, and these are trigger lists that can help jog your memory for things that might be incomplete tasks for you. And I'm going to start with the personal stuff. Okay, so when you think about personal stuff, think about the projects that you've already started that you haven't completed. And again, I'm just going to be writing with you, but I have done this obviously before, and so I might not have as many notes as you. So starting off with projects that you've already started that you haven't completed. Right? Think too of projects that you need to start, things that you haven't started yet that you need to start. And again, it can be more than one thing. So as you're writing, just put as many as you need to. And they don't have to be in any particular order. You can write one per or just an entire list. Okay. For the third one, think of not projects, commitments or promises that you've made to other people. Think about your spouse, your children, your family, your friends, things that you've told them that you were going to do for them and you just haven't done it yet. Next, think about any communications that you need to make, phone calls, emails, text messages that you need to send, or if there's anything that you need to receive from family or friends, right? Any kind of text, email, or phone call that you need from a friend or family member. Next, think about any upcoming events that you haven't written down yet. So think of birthdays that might be coming up. Think of anniversaries, weddings, any travel that you might be planning, social events that you might have coming up, any cultural events that you might have, sporting events, any event, any upcoming event. And these could be things that as you're thinking about these upcoming events that you've already noted somewhere, but let's just go ahead and for the time being, go ahead and put it here as well. So you might have a duplicated event, but go ahead and list it down. Next, what are some of the things that you need to do, right? So places that you need to go or people that you need to meet. I'm doing this series of videos during the coronavirus quarantine. And so for me, I've made a list of things to do already, but you certainly might have a long list of things that you need to do as well. And so example for me, I need to schedule all of the doctor's appointments that we've postponed. Right, next, think of just like administrative type stuff, bills that you haven't paid, banks, like things that you need to take to the bank or deposit in the bank, different financial components, things like doing your taxes, insurance, legal affairs, so any kind of like financial administration. Right. Next, think about all the things that you're still kind of waiting for. Things that you, for example, might have loaned to another person that you're still waiting to receive back. Things that you've ordered that you are waiting to receive. Next, think about anything related to your house or your household, your home. It could be things related to plumbing, electricity, utilities, decoration, furniture. It could be things related to any household repairs that you need to make. It could also be related to any equipment that you want to update in your home. It could be related to any TV updates, VCR updates, music, CDs, just supplies that you have in the house. Speaking of TVs, VCRs, that kind of thing, think about all of the personal stuff in terms of like electronics. And what are some of the things that you need to do in terms of dealing with your electronics? And again, at this point, we're just making a list of all the incomplete open things that just might be on your mind that you're thinking of. You don't have to do anything with it. Related to your house, think about your closets, drawers. Walk through mentally each of the rooms in your house and see if there's something within that room that triggers a task for you. Are there any tasks related to your car, vehicle, maintenance, repair, anything like that? Do you have any tasks related to pet? Think about health. Are there any health or healthcare tasks that you're thinking of? One of the big ones for me that I'm going to write down is run a 5K. It's not going to happen now. It's just something that's been on my mind, and so I put it down here. In terms of personal stuff, what are some of the hobbies? Are there tasks related to hobbies that you have? Is there a book that you want to finish? A movie that you want to start? A TV series that you want to start? Next, are there any errands that you need to run or anything related to errands? Drugstore, grocery, bank. Again, these could be things that you need to do right this second. It could be things that you need to do 10 years from now. Just write it down. And then lastly, in the personal stuff, Think about your community, your neighborhood, the school. It could be your school, it could be your children's school. It could be things related to just local, state, federal government. Are there certain things related to your community that are incomplete loops for you? Okay. Hopefully at this point you've made a list, and it's starting to grow. I've got my list here of things that I'm going to be putting into my inbox. Next, we're going to be doing professional stuff, and whatever you consider your professional life, just think about this list through that same lens of like work, whatever your job is. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, there are things that are related to being a stay-at-home mom that might fit into this category. Okay, so professional stuff. We're going to start in terms of professional stuff with any projects that you've started and not completed. And again, I'm making my list with you. All right. Are there any projects that you need to start professionally? Related to professional stuff, are there any commitments or promises that you've made to other people of things that you were going to do for them and you haven't finished those things yet? So think about things that you might have promised your boss. You might have promised your work partners or your colleagues. You might have promised certain commitments to your subordinates or your employees, things that you might have promised to customers, things you might have promised to other organizations or other professional colleagues. Are there any communications that you need to either make, phone calls, emails, or texts, or are there any communications that you need to receive from other people? So are you waiting for a certain letter, email, a memo of some sort, a proposal, a grant document, whatever it is, just go ahead and make a note of it. Is there any writing that you need to finish or submit? Instructions, documents, memos, whatever. Are there any meetings that you need to set up? If you are in a position where you make decisions for your work, are there any decisions that you need to make? And again, at this point, we're just writing them down. You don't have to make a decision. You just need to write down those, the fact that you are thinking about making a decision or have to make a decision about a certain thing. Is there some document or some memo that requires you to sit down and read and review it? Think about all the financial stuff that's related to your job. Are there budgets, forecasts, any kind of statistics, any kind of financial judgments that you need to make related to your job? Are any projects that you have in the stage of formal planning where you actually have to sit down and put together documentation for a particular project, Gantt charts, goals, targets, a business proposal of any sort? Is there any professional travel that's coming up for you? Are there any tasks related to customers, to marketing, to promotion, to sales? Do you have any incomplete loops or open loops or tasks related to supplies that you need or systems that need to be updated? Things like computers, office equipment, that kind of thing. Are you waiting for anything from another professional? So are you waiting for information, for tasks that you might have delegated to another person? Are there replies that you're waiting for? Is there something that you are awaiting a decision for from someone else? And then lastly, for professional stuff, is there any topic or idea that you just want to research further? It does not have to be, again, something that you plan to do. It's just something that's on your mind that you've been thinking about implementing, and you just need to do a little bit more research on it. What are those things? Now, for me, my list was short. Now, and of course, part of that is because I've got all of these written somewhere else. I did come up with a couple, and I'm pretty sure that these are already duplicates. I've got these written somewhere else. But this is what was on my mind as I was reading through the list. These were the things that I thought of. Now, for right now, this is pretty much going to go into my inbox, right? I just take these. I brought my planner. Oops, I didn't grab all of them. And I'll just take these and stick them into my inbox to be dealt with at a later point. In fact, I have to hold it because it won't fit in here. But basically, I'll just stick them in here, right? And at several points during the week, I don't necessarily do it every day, but certainly at least once a week, I'll just go through my inbox here and just pull these notes out, pull any notes that I've written on here, and I'll move into step 2, which is the next step of clarifying where that information needs to go. But that's pretty much how I set it up in terms of doing a mind sweep. Now, what I'm going to do is actually post a list of the official mind sweep, the official trigger list that's used in the Getting Things Done method, just so you have that. I feel like it's a little bit lengthier than what I reviewed today with you, but it's nice just to have the full list. And certainly some of it might not apply to you, but you'll be able to see that very easily once you go through the list. And so you'll be able to see the mind sweep and the trigger list. And on the next video, what we're going to be doing is talking about how to handle all of the external things that come at you, things that you might receive from other people, things that are in your inbox, in your mailbox, in your text messages, and how you can kind of process that, or at least how I will process it. And hopefully that will be helpful to you in terms of like how I deal with it. Basically, this first step of capturing things is trying to clear your mind. The recommendation is to always carry paper with you. If you carry your planner, that's all well and good, and I personally do that myself. I carry my planner with me pretty much everywhere. And if I don't have this planner, then I carry a little micro happy planner, and I can make notes very similar to what I did here. And I just write a note per sheet and I stick it in here. As soon as I get home, I'll move it out of the micro and put it in here. But if you carry your planner around with you, then certainly you can just write on these sticky notes. And as soon as you write down the thing, the whole point of writing it down is so that way you don't have to think about it constantly, right? And know that you can put it into the system and you can trust that the system will take care of it and that information is stored somewhere. Okay, and so I hope that this video was helpful to you. Again, next video is going to be talking about how to capture information from things that are outside of you. And I did go through some examples in the last video, but I'm actually going to show you what I do in terms of dealing with my inbox and my text messages. Probably just my inbox, so you can see what that looks like. And then we will move from that video into the step 2, which is clarifying, which is a lot of the work, right? And so I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next video, have a good one.